So we're recording, and with that, I'm going to start the video and chat away with our friend Sarah.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Age of Conversation Summit. My name is Sarah Soliman Daudin, and I am so excited to be here with you today. We've got such a great lineup of speakers. I mean, the summit has been incredible so far, so I'm truly humbled to be a part of it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can dive right into our content here today, because, of course, we only have 30 minutes together, which makes me very sad, but I'm going to try to get through our conversation around navigating the virtual event landscape over the next 30 minutes or so. Just a quick introduction. As I said, my name is Sarah Soliman Daudin. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Soliman Productions. So what we do when life is normal is we actually are a team of production professionals coming from a background of news and film, and we bring our expertise into the meetings and events space. So we have been fortunate enough to work with associations and corporate companies on production, all things production, video content production for the most part, and really finding ways to strategize around video content, not just during or from an event, but really throughout the entire year. So now, of course, that we are in our COVID times, we have been tasked with moving our production experience into a virtual setting, as I'm sure a lot of you are all doing as well in your own respective ways. So although we're all tired of hearing the word virtual, I think it's really important for us to understand how to do virtual and do it well. Okay, so it's all about creating an experience, and part of that experience is finding cool, easy ways to connect your online attendees, just like what you see here on screen. So this is actually a neat trick that my colleague and friend, Dalia El-Ghazar, who's also part of our speaker lineup during the summit, taught me. So what I want you all to do is we are going to get connected. Grab your phone. We are going to open up our LinkedIn app. And then in the search bar at the top of your app, there's a little QR square. What I want you to do is click on that and then scan my QR code on your screen right now. And then what that is going to do is connect you directly with my profile. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that, and I'll wait for my notifications to come in, and then I'll get connected, and we'll be able to network a little bit more online. So again, just a quick, easy way to add this into your events and make it so that it's a seamless experience for your attendees to network with one another. Okay, moving on. We're going to talk about virtual in 4 different buckets. Bucket 1, content; 2, connections; 3, experiences; and 4, monetization. So when we're thinking about creating our virtual experience, if you have not done one yet, or if you've done one but you're looking for ways to improve, think of your virtual event in these 4 components. First things first, content. Just like your in-person meeting, your content is going to be the driving force behind the success of your online event. One thing I really want to have a takeaway, have this be a takeaway for you as an event organizer if you're watching this, is do not repurpose or redo your in-person agenda for your online meeting. It has to be redesigned. It has to be recreated. You can't have 20 concurrent sessions if that was your goal at your in-person meeting. The experience is just different. I hope we all understand that by now, knowing what it feels like to be sitting in front of your computer all day. You want to keep content just like this, short and sweet, 30 to 45 minutes or so. Live Q&A component, so it's a little bit more engaging, and just short and simple. I have worked with so many medical groups over the past couple of months that have, and as you know, medical have hundreds of speakers and thousands of posters, and it's just not feasible to move that into an online space. It is so overwhelming, and you don't want to deter your attendees. Also, part of your content portfolio does not have to be limited to your 2 to 3 day in-person conference. The beauty of being online is that you can actually divvy up your content into maybe a month time span and do content every week. So now you can have more speakers, but it's not all at once, right? It's divvied up in a way that is more attainable, and it makes more sense for people sitting behind their computer screen. Another thing with content to really start thinking about, if you have not already, is how you can repurpose all of that great material that you are using during your virtual conference at a later date. Find ways to monetize that content. Of course, all of your content can either be pre-recorded, it can be actually live with live speakers, or what we call on-demand content, which is like a Netflix-style library of content that can be available for the entirety of your event. The beauty of this is you can actually turn all of your content, regardless of how it was initially recorded or executed during your event, into a content library that you can monetize, you can get sponsored, and really keep building on and enhancing your network and your database based on the industry that you serve. Okay? Speakers are, of course, one of your key stakeholders, as they are at your in-person meeting, but it's important to set them up for success before presenting in an online space. So you, of course, want to have some form of training with your speakers, whether it be a recorded video to just kind of walk them through whatever platform you're using, a one sheet with tips, and you're welcome to take a snapshot of this and use these as tips for your speakers as well. But some of the most important components are, of course, testing their internet connection. Speedtest.com. Great website. We use it all the time as we are working with our speakers to ensure their internet connection at home or at their work, wherever they're joining us from, is solid. So that way, the day of presentation, we kind of know what we're working with. And it gives us some room to autocorrect if we need to encourage them to find a different place to present from based on their internet speed. Lighting, of course, you can see here that I'm hopefully well lit for you. I don't look too dark. I don't look too blown out. Lighting is very important. And then, of course, audio. I tend to like to wear my earbuds. I feel like the audio comes in a lot better because my microphone is closer to my mouth and it doesn't sound as echoey if I'm just speaking into my computer. Keep the presentation short. I love this format. I'm speaking for 30 minutes. I think that is such a good time frame, 30 to 45 minutes in an online setting. It's not too much to ask for when you have attendees sitting behind their computer screens watching something for 30 to 45 minutes. Of course, incorporating breaks is important throughout your agenda build. 15-minute breaks where you're not packing the 15-minute breaks with more content. The point of a break is an actual break. It's a mental break for people to be able to pause, check email, get on a quick phone call, check on the kids if people are working from home, make a cup of coffee, so on and so forth. If you do decide to add anything into your breaks, make it so that it's an opportunity, if you have a sponsor hall or an exhibit hall of some sort, which we'll get to here later, that it's an opportunity for attendees to actually go and see what your sponsors have to offer or what your exhibitors have to offer. Or it can be an actual meditation or a yoga stretch break or something like that. But don't keep pummeling them with more information and content, because you have to make sure that you are accommodating the human brain and mental capacity behind sitting in front of a computer screen all day. You want to engage with attendees. So make sure your speakers have, some form of breakout rooms if they're in Zoom, or, whiteboards to be more interactive. Of course, the chat and Q&A component, which we're using here today, and polling questions as needed. So those are kind of some of the nice to haves just to elevate and enhance the engagement opportunities. And then, of course, stay connected. So it's important for your speakers to understand that they play a role in the success of your event as stakeholders, both before in promoting your event, getting people through those virtual doors, but then, of course, after, right? So they should be part of that strategy and that conversation to stay connected and keep the energy and momentum of your virtual event exciting, even post meeting. Here is something that I think is extremely important. I have had many conversations with event organizers that are solely focused on the technology. Well, what does this platform do? And what does that platform do? And although technology is extremely, extremely important when it comes to a good virtual meeting, it's not everything. You should actually look at the technology last. What you should look at first is the production. Producing a virtual event is very much like the Academy Awards, or even a local news show that we're all familiar with. it's an experience with a lot of different moving parts, but you need some sort of a producer, someone who has experience with production to bring it all home, or else it's just going to be a hodgepodge of an event and you're not really going to know all of the different ways to turn it into a real production. I like to call it a white glove service where, find that partner that not only has a neat platform that can accommodate your desires and your needs for your event, but also someone that understands production, but also partnering, meaning they can ideate with you and strategize with you and tell you no when you're looking to do something that's a little bit too extreme in a virtual setting. That's going to maintain that transparency with you. That's sort of part of that white glove service. So find partners in our industry that understand the full scope of a meeting and not just the technology and say, hey, here's our platform, run with it. Okay, so technology last, production, and partnership first. Here this is actually a questionnaire that we share with event organizers as they're trying to formulate their RFPs, as they're trying to formulate what should I be asking or thinking about before I reach out to a company to help me execute my virtual event. This is, like I said, a real questionnaire that we use. I encourage you to, again, take a photo of this if you like. This will hopefully help you around the thought process of your event and really helping your chosen vendor understand what you're looking to do with your virtual experience. So I'll give you just a couple more seconds to take a picture of this, just some important information to take into consideration. Okay. All right. So like I said, it's important to understand your tech options. It's not the first thing you want to learn about, but it's important to understand what technology is capable of. The other thing that I really want to stress is that, you have to give these tech companies a little bit of grace. One thing that I think is unrealistic is for event professionals to walk in thinking that nothing can go wrong at your virtual meeting because, you've got it all situated in technology. So much can go wrong. So much can go wrong. I often use the example of our mobile providers. I've got T-Mobile, and they have blackouts every once in a while. And guess what? There is nothing that I can do about it. So I'll give you just a couple more seconds to take a picture of this. Just some important information to take into consideration. Okay. All right. So like I said, it's important to understand your tech options. It's not the first thing you want to learn about, but it's important to understand what technology is capable of. The other thing that I really want to stress is that, you have to give these tech companies a little bit of grace. One thing that I think is unrealistic is for event professionals to walk in thinking that nothing can go wrong at your virtual meeting because, you've got it all situated in technology. So much can go wrong. So much can go wrong. I often use the example of our mobile providers. I've got T-Mobile, and they have blackouts every once in a while. And guess what? There is nothing that I can do about it, right? It's on T-Mobile's network to figure out. Same thing with your tech companies. There are certain things that are going to be out of their control, like internet. And things that they just don't have full control over, even though they'd love to. Okay, so be gracious when you're looking at tech providers and thinking through your tech options. This has been taxing on them too. But part of the technology is also understanding what you can and can't do. I am not sharing this so we can brag about what my company's doing in any capacity, but I'm a visual person and I wanted to share a visual with you regarding the technology component. Okay. So what you're seeing here on your left-hand side is something that we create through Customized. We have different lobby options, and this is one of them. The reason I am showing this to you is because it's important for the technology and the way that the event is formulated. Again, production, think production, in a way that is easy for attendees to digest. So the image on the left-hand side here, you can see that these buttons are all clickable, and they will take you into that respective experience. So whether it's sessions and pre-con or the exhibit hall or posters or awards or what have you. But it's easy for an attendee looking at this image to know that if I click on exhibit hall, it's going to take me there. There's no guessing game. It's just how the technology and the production is laid out. In addition, when we talk about monetization, a very important factor when it comes to any event in person and online, but I know there's a lot of questions about how can I keep my monetization strong when we are doing things virtually? Well, similar to your in-person meeting, positioning of logos, making the logos clickable to the sponsor websites, that kind of thing. That's how you can make this more of a experience, again, outside of a standard Zoom room, to your sponsors and to your attendees. Okay, so that's kind of like our lobby area. How are you going to divvy up the different sections of your event and make it easy to navigate? On the right-hand side, what you're seeing is the exhibit hall. Again, just an example, but the goal here is to be able to give your exhibitors their own space, just like you would at your in-person meeting, to showcase their products or services. It's their own little section of the event, and it's great for them to have this throughout the meeting. They can hang out in there and engage with people in the chat box and answer any questions and hopefully create that connection. Again, it's also a good way for you to keep those exhibitor dollars as you're transitioning from in-person to a virtual experience. One tip is if you have a larger event and your event holds hundreds of exhibitors, you don't want to cram them all into this, one event. Again, find creative ways. Maybe it's a set of 50 exhibitors on day one, a set of another 50 on day two, a set of another 50 on day three. However your event is laid out, totally up to you how to do it, but the goal here is to drive people to the exhibit hall and that they're not overwhelmed, because there's mini breaks in between the day and the agenda, but they're not going to want to sit here and sort through 200 exhibitors at a time, right? That's just not feasible. Going back to your agenda real quick too, as we talk about the exhibit hall, make sure that there's a lot of time in your agenda for the exhibit hall and the exhibit hall alone. 45 minutes to an hour is plenty of time. It's sufficient in addition to those added 15-minute breaks that we talked about earlier. All right. Here's what an exhibit booth could look like. Again, this is just our sample. This is a visual. Again, I'm a visual person, and I know I want you to walk away with some visuals and how you can do things. But you can see here, this is a booth for the AAPD Foundation. They have a pre-recorded video in that monitor there, right smack down in the middle of your screen. Q&A, a chat box. So it gives them the opportunity to answer any questions that are coming in, to engage with attendees via chat, both publicly and they can private message as well. And then they can, add any brochures that can be downloaded, or messaging or ads, social media icons, contact information, you name it, right? The opportunities are endless. But the way that you sort of help your exhibitors get to this point is by creating a one sheet for them with specs of what they can and can't do, how they can engage with attendees in a virtual space, and really, just like you would your speakers, set your exhibitors up for success as well. Okay. Networking. We talked about connections being part of the buckets, the 4 buckets that we talked about when we started our conversation here. Networking can be done through great platforms and partners like Grip. If you haven't heard of Grip before, they are really well designed to provide an online matchmaking, professional networking experience for your attendees. How does it work? Basically, attendees create their own profile. So you can see here on your screen the profile with the headshot, name, company, title, all of the above. It can be linked to their LinkedIn profile, and it populates data and information about that attendee pulling from LinkedIn. And then what can happen is they are actually connected, just like you would in a dating app, essentially connected with other attendees that have similar interests as they do. From there, they can schedule one-to-one meetings using video chat. So just like you would in Zoom, you can actually get on a video chat and have coffee with someone during an event, maybe a glass of wine, whatever, depending on the time of day that your event is taking place. But this is a really neat way to build those connections. And also for exhibitors, it's an upsell, right, for your exhibitors to have this feature in their booth, because now they're able to schedule one-on-one meetings, kind of like a hosted buyer experience, if you will, with the attendees. Okay, so Grip is a really cool way to connect people. You have to make it fun. So how do you do that? How do you build that experience, right? That fourth bucket that we talked about earlier. There are awesome vendors. And I do want to mention before I go into how to make it fun and engaging, all of this stuff can be sponsored. So when we go back to our monetization bucket outside of the exhibit hall and the logo placements and all of that, all of these experiences, including Grip, can be a sponsorship opportunity. So really think outside of the box as to how you can monetize and bring in some of your partners from your in-person meeting, bring those dollars over into this online space. Song Division, you may or may not be familiar with them. They are awesome. They create music and songs based on your event and the different experiences that are happening at your event. They have transitioned to do this virtually as well. So definitely something to look into. A virtual photo booth. This is really cool. Obviously, you've got your headshot stations at your in-person meeting. You've got your photographer that's going around and taking photos of everybody. This is a neat way through Snapbar to not only have the photo booth experience, but also a gallery that can then be shared, by you, but also as your event is going on. So you can see here the different frames that you can have. You can add stickers. If your sponsor was Facebook, for example, you can have their logo on the frame itself. So again, sponsorship opportunity to find new ways to monetize the experience. But attendees can also download these photos as they take them and upload them to social media using your event hashtag. And now you're creating this conversation and hopefully a little bit of FOMO for those that are not attending your online event through the photo booth. All right. Virtual escape rooms, you may or may not have already done this. This is really great for smaller meetings and smaller groups. Like if you're hosting a board meeting, for example, it's a team building activity. So you basically are put into this room and you're trying to escape with clues that are thrown at you. And you can see here on your screen that these folks are working through the clues together to try to figure out how they escape this escape room. So again, a really neat way to create that networking opportunity, but not so formal in a virtual space. Trivia, of course, you may have participated in trivia during a virtual meeting or want to host trivia. But make it fun, incentivize it. Find ways to get people excited about playing these online games. A lot of us may skip out on this because it's during a break and you're like, I don't have time for this. I'm going to answer my emails instead. But if you incentivize it, if you say, okay, our top 3 trivia winners are going to get a Visa gift card, or they're going to get, discounted registration on an upcoming event. Those are really cool ways to get people to engage and actually make them pay attention to the games that you want to provide to create that engagement. All right, so video bombs, similar to photo bombs, you can actually rent these cute little animals. So it can be a llama or a dog or a goat or whatever these companies have available based on when your event is. And it's kind of cool because they like bomb you at different times and everyone's like, what's going on here? But you can take screenshots with them. And it's just, again, a way to break up some of the seriousness of content and make things fun. Goodie boxes. The photo on the left here is actually from an event that we worked with, Hearsay Summit. And they put together this awesome goodie box that you can see here. And it had a bottle of champagne and, just some candles and information about the company overall, notebooks and that sort of thing. And they sent it to their top partners or their top sponsors. Snail mail style. So knock on the door, you get a goodie box, and then it's just in time to watch the event online. So it was perfectly positioned, perfectly planned, and photos were coming in because they were encouraged to take photos and use the hashtag and all of that. So photos were coming in as the event was happening. So we were able to actually share those photos, you know, in real time as we were getting them during the breaks of people just, yay, look at me with my goodie box. This is also, again, a great opportunity to engage a sponsor. So if, you know, Coca-Cola was a sponsor of yours and they wanted to sponsor the goodie box, they can have their logo all over it, send people little Cokes, you know, that kind of thing. So again, it's all about getting creative. How can you really enhance the experience? Part of this as well, one thing I want to do before we get to wrapping up here is talk about Grubhub. And I think Uber Eats is doing this too. But finding ways to make people dine together online. I know what Grubhub is doing is that you can actually create a corporate account with them and upload your attendee list. There's no minimum, there's no maximum, and then you can actually select the per diem that you want to, or the stipend, I should say, that you want to provide each attendee. So if it's lunch and, you know, you want to give everyone $30 each, great. Again, no minimum, no maximum. What they then do is they use their Grubhub app and they can order using that $30 credit from any restaurant of their choice. So it's kind of cool because you're also supporting these local restaurants that so desperately need the business, as you know, most people do right now. So it's just, again, a way to bring the entire event home and help people walk away with that wow factor. That's really what this is all about, is how can you not just deliver content where people are sitting in front of their screen, but also find ways to get them posting on social media, get them excited about what they're learning and what they're experiencing during this time. So I am just about out of time, but I'm going to continue answering any questions that are coming in. My contact information is right there on the screen. So if you do have questions that I can't get to, by all means, I'm an email away. Happy to keep the conversation going. Following the summit, I know that this is still fairly new to a lot of you as you try to figure out how to do things bigger and better each and every day. I want to commend those of you that have done what you needed to do and pivoted, although I hate that word, but pivoted quickly into the virtual space. I know it's been challenging, but I'm also hoping that you have seen your network and your organizations grow from the various attendees that you've been able to draw in, you know, that you're not usually able to pull maybe in your face-to-face environment. So with that, thank you all so much. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to be here with all of you virtually, and hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you.
All right. Stop sharing that.
Yay.
Thanks, Sarah. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you all. If anyone has questions, I don't want to go too much over time, but I am happy to, I'm here, my peeling forehead and I are here, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Or also, you know, I can provide you with my email address again in chat, just in case as well.
So the idea is that everyone can navigate over to Central Perk.
Oh, perfect.
Room for more, set up for more conversations. So if you guys want to keep chatting with Sarah, get some more tips on the food app. The Grubhub thing is really cool. I hadn't heard of that. I've heard of the idea, but I didn't know Grubhub was actually supporting it. So that's really cool.
Yeah. They've done some cool stuff. All right, great. Well, then I will make my way over to the main area here of the event, and I will be able to answer questions here, or again, my email is in chat. But either way, thank you all so much. And Rachel, thank you for all your support. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right.
We'll hang out for the next session, okay?